Okay, so for the relevance activity this week, I'm leading, Landon is going to be leading, and Beth's is going to be leading as well. So we thought it would be a good idea to kind of take turns as we go through the questions as a group. So our first question is, what is health literacy and why is it important? Did anyone get some notes on that?
Yeah, I think what it is it's how you communicate, like a promotion or something, or how you communicate a message, and then how the person receives it. Do they understand it? So that's kind of how I just looked at it. It's like, how is a message put together, and then what impact does it have, and does the person that receives it, do they understand it? That's kind of what I got out of there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, basically it's just how the individual can like understand, or I think one of the other words they used was, oh yeah, like their capacity to obtain and process like information that's being given. And then there's like, you know, a lot of things that go under that.
Yeah, and how to use that information to make health decisions.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there was a pretty good quote from the reading that says exactly kind of what you did. It says the degree to have the capacity and services needed to make appropriate health. So I think we're pretty on track with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I think it was like, why is health literacy important?
So what I found from the reading was that, well, and anyway, I think have poor health literacy. So it says that people who are at risk for that include the elderly, immigrant populations, low income, people with chronic mental physical conditions, and minority populations. And as public health professionals, it really seems like the demographics that we'll be working with in general. So it's important to understand them so that we can better help them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important because it's like self-care, and is kind of probably one of the most important things in your life, because if you don't have your health, you know,
Yeah,
you can't.
Yeah.
Not improve.
We won't be healthy.
And like, if you didn't understand if something was an issue, like if there was a language barrier and you didn't understand, I don't know, something could cause cancer, just making that up or something, and you were always involved in that activity or something, then that would be an issue. So.
Or like it was saying, like calculating cholesterol and blood sugar levels, like measuring medications, all that stuff.
like numerical. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, it even talks about like the importance of it being like actual drug coverage and like copays and deductions and deductibles, because even that can be
true,
overwhelming, and
yeah,
you don't understand that, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I worked in a doctor's office, and that's always like,
oh really?
The worst part is like people don't understand what insurance covers and doesn't cover. They don't know what a deductible means or the copay or anything.
Right.
And it's just, you feel so bad because they feel so blindsided, but like, you know.
Even when you understand, you're kind of blindsided.
Yeah, even if you understand.
What? It's $500 to pull my kid's tooth out? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Pull it out for 20.
I know. Tie it around a soccer ball and kick it. I wouldn't do that.
Very humane.
That's a really good point, though. What do you guys think? Next question.
Yeah.
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 Okay, cool. So it says to review the Shannon-Weaver model's 7 key components. And I think we had to do that in our reading report. Was that
Yeah.
what?
Well, in chapter 11.
Yeah, chapter 11, right?
Mm-hmm. So the first one is a sender, right? So it's like the person or source that the information is being communicated to.
Bless you. Bless you. Is there anything that we have to write down this week? Do you guys know to turn in? I mean, for like our group.
No, the application
It's
doesn't
a
really
recording,
correlate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Unfortunately.
the relevance one we have to submit.
And, and the relevance one is about this model. But it's kind of a different individual thing. Yeah.
Wait, we have a relevance and an application to turn in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a reflection.
And a reflection.
That's all.
That's all. Okay.
Well, so the sender, that's just the group or the organization, right? That's trying to communicate a message, whether it be like the CDC or whatever group it is that's trying to get a message packed together to send it. That's
Exactly.
okay.
And the second one was encoding. So it's the way the information is packaged for transmission. So for example, maybe like they do it in a different language so that the person can understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know other ways they could encode the message.
Example in the reading was sending abbreviations, like in text message, like LOL or something like that.
Another example they used, which was kind of cool, was like the World War II Navajo coders.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And how they didn't want, obviously, the enemy to know what they were talking about with their plans. And fortunately, Germany doesn't have any Native Americans that are Navajo, so we used that to our advantage, that we could send message in Navajo so they couldn't understand their plans. So that's kind of like what encoding is. It's just like being able to transmit the message so that they could understand. Or that I guess your enemy can't like decode it. I don't really know why. Yeah.
Okay. So the third one is message, and it refers to the context of the message and like how I'm sorry, I just accidentally exited out of my page and I lost it. But I think it basically means like the length of the message and how easily it can be decoded and interpreted.
Yeah, it's just the message itself, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, like if it's simple or complex, depends what we're trying to send out. And then the fourth one was the channel. So it's the medium that we used to send that message out. So it can be like a face-to-face communication. It could be through the phone, through email, or through the commercial like we were shown for, I think, this meet. What's it called? For the relevance, I don't know. They like gave us a commercial to watch for driving and texting. So that was through like a TV commercial that they sent out the message.
Yeah. And then the fifth one is decoding. So like the way that the person who's receiving the message decodes or understands the message following transmission. So when they decode the message, it's kind of built upon, or I guess based on their knowledge and their experiences, as well as like their perceived context of what the message means.
Yep. That's where you get your secret decoder ring out.
And then receiver. So that's I guess, the target audience of the message. So it can be like an individual person, like a mass group, whoever the sender is trying to reach with their communication.
So like in that TV ad about the girl texting in the car wreck, I think the receiver on that one, I was just thinking about this, it would be a lot of the population that just uses phones to text and drive, or a younger population. You know how you guys were talking about the elderly and that. I don't see a lot of that. They don't text and drive a lot. They don't really care, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it also I think that showed the mom with the kids, and it tried to pull on your emotions to think, oh, hey, that could be, you know, something important. So there was kind of a couple of different groups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very strong. I haven't seen that commercial or video before. Okay, and then the last one is noise. So that's literally anything that distracts us from getting the message. Things that are going around us, or maybe when you're on the phone and you're trying to explain something, maybe they accidentally hung up, the phone got dropped, or slow internet connection, or literally noise, like distraction in the background.
Or it says it can be hunger. That is definitely noise for me.
Yeah.
Having a hunger distraction right now.
Currently happening.
I'm hangry.
Hangry.
Okay.
And the next one was texting and driving and identifying those 7 key components. You guys all watched the video?
Yeah.
Yep.
We're supposed to evaluate it and discuss the components. So what do you guys think?
Well, I didn't know who the sender was, but it might have been the National Traffic Safety, or I didn't
Yeah, because
catch.
it didn't really say.
What's that?
I just saw like, yeah, it just said don't text and drive, channel 6. That's all I saw.
Yeah.
So maybe we should just say like public service announcement from channel 6.
Yeah.
And then I think the encoding, I kind of look at the encoding as they try to pull you in to what we do every day. So I was kind of looking at that as like we all text, and we've probably all texted while we drove. And so they try to put yourself in that situation. That's kind of how I looked at it, as the encoding part of that, as you try to see yourself in that message.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you guys interpret that?
Yeah, and like someone said tug is probably something too. So they'll get you to kind of understand the importance.
Yeah.
Of texting.
And then what was the next one? The message?
Yes.
Well,
The message is pretty clear.
Yeah, it was pretty simple. I mean,
Don't
it's
text.
straightforward.
right when they were about ready to crash, they stopped and got out and walked together, and they're like, "Hey, stop texting. I got my kids in there." And she's like, "But my mom told me that," and it's just quick.
Yeah.
So it's like,
And then the channel, I would just say it was like given through a TV commercial.
Yeah.
And the last one I think was, oh no, we're not the last. Decoding. So
yeah, I mean, basically, like what we got out of it was even though it might seem like a simple like text message or not a big deal because we do it all the time, there can be like detrimental consequences to being distracted while driving, even in like a remote place, because they weren't even like in the freeway or like busy intersection. They were just kind of in two lanes with not many cars, but still can cause a problem.
Yep. I guess the receiver would be pretty much everybody that has a phone and drives.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about noise?
I guess for the commercial, like if you mute the commercial,
Or maybe you're in the room while you're watching the commercial and you can't hear it.
Now you can fast forward through commercials sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or like if you go get something to eat, like I know a lot of people do that during the commercials.
Yeah, they'll leave the room. Yeah.
Oh, this says slow internet connection, like if you're watching online.
Mm-hmm.
Static on TV. I don't think that. Okay.
Could interference also
No.
be like you
Yours
don't?
was under.
Oh, sorry. Could interference also be like you don't care about the message, or you don't think that it could ever happen to you, or like you just feel like
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. It's really good. So the next question was, what components are strong and what could they have done differently? I think we kind of already said that, you know, it was strong because they chose the population that uses their phones when they text and drive. But what do you guys think they could have done differently?
I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah.
I guess if they really wanted to drive home the message, they could have showed the aftermath of the car wreck and EMS showing up and, you know, stuff like that. But they they could have extended it another 15 seconds or something. I don't know, you know, and really tried to drive the point home, I guess. But I thought it was pretty well done. But that's the only thing I could think of.
For me personally, I didn't have to see anymore, but it was more dramatic, I guess, if they showed more.
What if they like maybe done differently? I mean, sent it to different audiences, like instead of just over the TV. But I don't know if that really is what they're asking with this question. Because like I've never seen it before, you know.
Different channels, maybe social media or something like that. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, like instead of just, you know, presented by Channel 6, it could have been like, and the Department of Transportation, or, you know, different groups that they could have collaborated with for the announcement.
I don't even know who the sender really was.
Yeah, that, I don't know if maybe that counts. I don't know. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered that one though. So, how did the message change behavior?
Is that like in us or like?
Yeah,
I mean, hopefully it changed people from that do text and drive. Maybe it helped them to rethink that.
I mean, I think that's what they want you to like change, right? That behavior of texting and driving.
Yeah, and at the very least, I think it informed people that, hey, there is a risk.
Oh yeah, that's
because some people don't know about it or don't think there's a problem.
Until the next text comes in, then you're like,
yeah. I think they should make commercials for people who wear headphones and drive. I've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
Scary.
You're actually not supposed to, but
I know. It's not right.
I'm always like, you can't hear anything.
Can you do one ear in for your Bluetooth?
I think you can have one ear, but I think it's against the law to have both because then you can't hear trains and honking.
Cars, ambulance.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I think you hit it with the behavior. Like, basically, it's supposed to break the bad habit or break your. It's kind of almost a little selfish, right? Because you think, like, your text message is more important than, like, other people, like, their safety and, like, your safety and the people in the car's safety. Like, just because you want to send a text message. There's a billboard in Utah here, and it's like, texting makes good people look like bad people or something. Texting makes good people look bad. Texting while driving makes good people look bad. And it's just like, because they don't really think about the consequences. They don't want to kill anyone. They don't want to injure anyone. But like, when you hear what you've done to cause the accident, that makes you look really irresponsible. You did something really awful. And so, yeah, I think, to change the behavior, like, just because you meant an innocent text means you can cause a whole lot of damage in pretty much everyone's lives that are involved on the road at that time driving.
Yeah.
That's everything.
I think most of these messages, though, I think they're designed to bring awareness of a situation, or, bring awareness of, if you talk about the opioid epidemic, or, whatever, they're trying to get people to start to think about it. That's kind of the premise behind it.
Well, it's almost like the model we talked about last week. What's the first step, like
contemplation.
when you're like starting to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So this could like start, the rest of the steps to break like the bad habit of even texting while driving.
That's a good comparison.
Thanks.
And I think we discussed everything that we need to discuss. Now it says just to review the application assignment for this week and brainstorm any ideas.
So the application for this week is analyzing 3 different PSA announcements within the community. So one is like supposed to be a television, I think the other's supposed to be radio, and the third maybe newspaper.
Yeah.
And I think
Oh, okay, I see.
so, like, I think there's texting and driving, like PSA announcements, or I guess announcements, in every city. So I was just gonna use that for one of them, like for the video, or for like the billboard one, because I know there's one in my area, and I forgot who said there was one in their area in Utah too.
Yeah.
Well, there's tons of TV ones, like to stop smoking, or, do something like that. So, and then social media, I bet you can probably grab a lot of those, or newspaper would just be an advertisement of something.
Yeah,
Right.
the only one that like never see is like a PSA on the radio. The only thing I could think of was like severe weather.
How about get out and vote or something? Don't they have those around election time?
Oh, that's
Is that would that qualify as one?
As on the radio?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they encourage you to go out and vote, or they give a statistic or something about how many people don't vote, or something like that. I think I've heard those, but I don't know.
I've heard those before.
Yeah.
I like that. So voting for the
That's a good one.
So, do they have to be like health related? Because I'm like, it doesn't necessarily say, but I guess you need to apply the 7 steps, but you can apply those 7 steps into anything. So is it kind of like anything you want it to be?
I think.
Yeah, I would think so, because
I would
the
think
center of the organization, it may not have to be health related.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. That makes it a little easier, I guess, to do whatever you want. Ooh.
Okay.
All right. Is that good? Do anything
Yeah,
else?
record time.
Yeah.
I know. Yay.
All right.
Well, I think this is the last week, too.
Oh, it is?
I think so.
As a
It's the
group.
last model.
Yeah, I think this is it. I don't think we do it next week. I think there was just 4 of them.
Well, good job. Yay. For being a good group.
So we got it knocked out.
Oh,
Well, can
All right. So I'll do the link. I'll post it in the discussion board again and then send it in again.
okay.
Awesome. That'd be
Thank
great.
you.
Thanks,
You have
Michelle.
everybody's name?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have it in a Word doc saved. Well, now I do.
Okay.
There was one confusion and I hope I had her name right.
Yeah. No, I don't know why it keeps showing up under my husband, but it's under my maiden name still at BYUI.
Okay.
So
I think I have it. I sent whatever, I think Maddie messaged your name over. So I was like, if it's the wrong name, I'm sorry.
I know it's so confusing. Sorry.
It's all good.
Alrighty, well, thanks everybody.
Nice
Okay.
knowing you guys.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye. Have a good
Bye.